Well, I think I'm live. Well, I think I'm live. It's hard to know. Every time I think I do it right, I do it wrong. Rod Roy. Hello, Rod Roy. There's West Virginia Holly Girl. Heidi Ho. ABS Aquatics. Frederick. Hello, Frederick. So I can get Frederick a wrench here. I can figure out what we're doing. Where are we? We got it. Zoltan. Bunny Viper. Goodness sakes. Hi, Bunny Viper. Haven't seen you in that age. Craig's Catfish is here. Hey, Craig. Zoltan. Who's this? Sammy? Sammy VH. Hey, Sammy. Mach 389. Artemis Schroeder. Curious from Canada. Hi, Artemis Schroeder. Meshuggahs for Christ. Hey, Meshuggahs. Happy to see you come up in the channel. Nice to meet you. Sergio. Happy Easter to you, Sergio. Zoltan is setting up his outside tub today. Yeah, I was going to do it too, but it got cold. Now, I've got a problem here. I'm in the silly calendar, honestly. And I can't get out of the calendar. How do I get out of the stupid calendar? Honestly. If I go off, I want to exit it. If I exit, it's probably going to shut me down. So I don't think I want to do that. Start replay buffer. I don't think I want to do that. I didn't know how to do this. This is so stupid. I'm going to go back to what I did before. I cannot figure out how to use Streamlab. It just escapes me right now. My entire Streamlab is taken up with this month's calendar. And that's all I can see. So it's totally worthless. And that'll have to get out of it. I don't know. It irritates me. Do I want to log out? No, I don't want to log out. Open performance window. Whatever that is, I don't think I want to do it. I don't know, I tell you. It makes me nuts. Alright, let's just... Honestly, I can end the stream, that'll kill it. I can't test this, schedule the stream. It's already scheduled. If I click on that, nothing happens. Start replay buffer. Don't know what that means. I don't want to start. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. There's no button here that allows me to get out of this stupid thing. Click to open notifications window. That's worthless. Performance window. That's worthless. App Store theme studio mode. Is that it? No. Editor? No. There, editor. Whoosh. Alright. Let's go back to the stream. Ringo Cat from Scotland. Hey Ringo. Let's see if we can get Ringo a wrench here. We can do that. And Holy Ghost Riders. And who else is new? Jumby? Lumbee. Lumbee from the Caribbean. Where are you in the Caribbean, Lumbee? Dan Glacier from Northwest Georgia. Hello, hello. We got a lot of new people here. From Belgrade, Serbia, ASMR. Hello, hello. Thank you, sir. Ew, Easter holiday is holding up my new Ace Biomaster in the post. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Must see YouTube for aquatics hobbyists. Thank you, Sammy. Bruiser. Hello, hello. KG7s is here. Hey, KG. Good to see you. Mr. Emily from Indiana. What are some good outside fish to try? My word, Zoltan. You know, in the summer, what was it? Somebody sent me a video, not a video, a comment on the betta video. By the way, the betta video is falling on its face. It needs help. Any help you can give it. Click on it, watch it, like it, share it, leave a comment. Do whatever you can. We're trying to get it out of the doldrums. I screwed up setting it up. I don't understand the stupid algorithm, and I keep thinking I do, and I keep acting like I do, but I don't. It's like Matilda said, stupid and don't know what they're talking about. And the way I know that is I'm stupid, and you don't know what you're talking about talking to me. Because I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I know, and I don't know, and I screw it up, and then I get chewed out for screwing it up, or whatever. I mean, I've taken more flack ever since we started trying to build this channel. It's amazing. Oh, Don Carrier from Ontario. Nice to meet you. Dan, it is. And Spacey from New Orleans. Spacey from New Orleans. How do you say that? New Orleans. New Orleans. That's how you say it. New Orleans. Better video is awesome. I tell you, Sammy, I think so too. And we can't get people to watch it. It's the darndest thing. You know, here I've got the Don't Clean Your Tank is hitting 50,000 views, and the beta video I think just hit 3,000, and that was struggling to get there. I don't know. I don't get it. Lumbee bought a betta from a young lad yesterday. Have to set up a small tank for it. You betcha. Lumbee, they're great fun. They really are great fun. Admiral Tintin, always an experience and enjoyment to learn from a wide range of hobbyists from all over the world. So be it. You know, I thought that's what really I find so exciting and so inspiring about this whole YouTube experience is I can be talking literally right now, here and now, and I am, with people all over the world. People from the Philippines. What do we got? People in Serbia, the Caribbean, all over the States, Canada. I mean, it's amazing. Just amazing. And on Discord, my gosh, it's amazing. I can call somebody up on essentially the phone, but it's a video and be talking to them halfway around the world, the other side of the earth, just in seconds. It boggles the brain. Maybe it doesn't boggle your brain. I have an older brain that's more easily boggled. Benevid was nice for real. Thank you, Lumbee. I thought so too. We just need to we need to make it work. And I don't know quite how to do this. I know if people will search for it and click on it and watch it, that improves the algorithm. Even a small number of people finding it in the search, which might be a good trick, I don't know. Clicking on it, watching it, leaving a comment, liking and sharing. That might get us somewhere. Otherwise, I think it's hopeless. I went in, I changed the thumbnail, and it changed the title, which of course you're not supposed to do. But there was nothing to lose. It wasn't going anywhere. It was dying on the vine. So I figured I'd give it a shot. And I'm just asking everybody I can to help. Watch the video, click on it, watch it again. If you watch it once, watch it again. And share it and like it. In fact, look it up on search. Look it up on search and then watch it. That's supposed to be for real. Anyway. What else we got? Tony just watched the Benevid. I think it's a wonderful video. I really do. But, wonderful or not, it isn't gone anywhere unless you appeal to the algorithm. And learning how to do that, I don't know. People make money, I guess, teaching others. You can't even teach it. I mean, I've been dealing with 3 people now who are absolutely convinced they understand the algorithm with perfection. And I don't at all. And that's what I get. They got it. They understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Okay, I agree. I don't understand it. But when I try to understand it, when I try to learn, when I try to ask questions, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. I mean, they get it. They do get it because, when I finally buckle down and follow directions and do what I'm told, we had a video it's on its way to 100,000 or maybe it's exceeded that. I don't know. It's approaching 100,000, I guess. Biggest video I ever had. And all I had to do was do the video, let them put it together, and let the team do the thumbnail and the title, which I did. And it's gold, gangbusters, gold. The very next one, it said, "Oh, I got this now. I got it. I did it." Nothing. Who says? Stephen Clark just sent us $20. Thank you, Stephen. Very, very kind of you. Do deeply appreciate it. Now, what is this? Spillbreaker is saying, I want to buy a 70 or 100 gallon aquarium. I don't know whether to put it in the living room or the basement. It is to freeze in the basement, too cold. I'm from New Jersey. My problem is the weight. If you put a heater on it, you're okay. The other thing you can do, I know this came up the other day, put cold water fish in it. That's a big enough tank to be able to catch. There are a lot of very, very cool fish. Little fish, not big, giant fish. Little freshwater fish all over New Jersey, particularly down in the Pine Barrens. And when you get over toward Pennsylvania, creek fish, pond fish. Amazing stuff. Beautiful fish. Do that. They won't mind the cold water. In fact, they will thrive in it. So that's a very legitimate approach. And it'll be just as beautiful. The plants will survive. You can do any plants you want to. There are no warm water plants to speak of. They all survive just fine in the cold. They may not like to freeze. Plants don't, as a rule. But they don't mind getting cold. Tony. Andy Underwood. Let's see if we can give Andy a wrench here. Oh, he's already got one. Tony G. Add moderator. I'm turning everybody blue here. What the world needs now. Where did that go? Key to algorithm is persistence. So you say. So you say. Ugh. All right, here we go. Fitterari Fitness says peace. Fitterari, nice to see you. Hello, Steve Warren. Silver Creek is here. Hey, Silver Creek. Cluster. Okay, if fish dig a bit in your method of tanks. Yeah, it's okay if they dig a bit. So long as they don't go down to bedrock. There are some that do that. Meshuggahs, Father Fish, do you have a krill growing video? Oh my God. Already seen the beta. It was beta good. Krill growing video. A krill growing. Who's this? Oh, Meshuggah. Meshuggah just sent us a $10 super sticker thingy. Whatever. Thank you, Meshuggah. Krill. You don't mean krill. You don't mean krill. That would require an ocean. You mean brine shrimp. Yeah, I do actually. Brine shrimp growing. I don't know about growing. There were some old ones. I don't have anything new. Look up brine shrimp. I have brine shrimp in a boot. I got a series of brine shrimp videos, I'm pretty sure. Key to the algorithm is persistence. Who said that? Cluster. I'm persistent. It ain't coming clear though. Think you're gone from 15 to 25 in the last month. Yeah, that's true. Steve, that's absolutely true. We are right at 25,000. Just under it. It'll hit there today or tomorrow. It's really close. So I know, it's just astounding. Last Christmas, we were at 12. We have doubled in what, 3 months? Astounding. Hello, RMN. Nice to see you. Let's get you a wrench. Jay's Aquatics. Have I done this yet? Doobie-doo. I have not. Jay's Aquatics is now wrenched. Stephen Clark, $20. Happy Easter, Father Fish. Happy Easter to you, Stephen. Spellbreaker. You can put a heater in the tank. That works perfectly well. They are effective. You want to get 2 400-watt heaters and get decent ones. Don't get those cheap Chinese things. They're not powerful enough to heat the water to 400. But you can put heaters in and that'll work. You'll need 2 in that big a tank. That'll hold it stable. A YouTuber, the video popped up for me. It was good. Sent me down a rabbit hole. Learned about fantail bettas. Bravo. Spellbreaker. The aquarium weight is too heavy. Well, put it in the basement then. What are you talking about? 100-gallon tank? Is that what it was? 100? I think 100-gallon tank. Spellbinder, yeah. 100-gallon tank, that's 800 pounds, plus about 200 for substrate is 1,000. Another 2 is 12. It's about 1,200 pounds. That is 1,200 pounds. That is 6 200-pound men. If 6 average 6-foot-tall men cannot stand in that spot where you plan to put the tank, then you really need to rebuild the floor because it's going to kill somebody. 6 200-pound men. That's what a 100-gallon tank weighs. Think about it. Think about it. So you want to run it across the beams, not with the beams, across the beams. It really is not going to be a problem. 1,200 pounds is not a lot of weight. Where are we here? Owen is saying your beta video was amazing. Please type amazing on the video. Actually, that doesn't even help. What helps? What helps is looking it up on search and watching it. Watching it more than anything. Flakefoot is good for angelfish. Here's Hung. All right. Thank you, Hung, for bringing us to tonight's topic. Because I think I probably would have never gotten there. Gray dog. Set up my first betta planted tank. They are curious. They really are. They're delightful little fish. Whoops. I think I... Oh, a black-banded sunfish is a good native. It absolutely is, and it's small. It gets maybe 2 inches tops. And really pretty little fish. What if they strike gold? Well, you know, they could. It won't be much, though. And you'll have to pan it, which is a problem. Andrew Fenner. Since watching the Fatherfish videos, I've been looking forward to setting up an ecosystem aquarium. However, since watching other channels talking about cycling, chemicals, etc., I've been put off. Well, now, Andrew. Andrew. You're just going to have to pull up your pants, tighten your belt, put your wiggle on, and decide you're going to do what you want to do. Right? Don't listen to everybody comes down the pike. I had a guy today came onto my channel with a comment. Call me a liar, a fraud. I don't know what I'm talking about. I contradict myself. He went on. And I read all this. And I knew what he was talking about because I've said one thing one time and the opposite the next time over the last 5 years. Because I've improved my understanding is part of it. And the other part of it is that some things work in one kind of system or approach that don't work as well in others. Like he said, you don't need a filter, and he's sitting there with filters. Well, I didn't say you never need a filter. I said you can set it up so that you can not have a filter. I've done it. I don't know if I got them in here now. I think I do. They look like they're not running. Well, I can hear it though. I hear bubbles, so it must be working. Anyway, so I said, what did I say? I said something that was not flattering. I called him, I called him something. What did I call him? Not a curmudgeon. That would have been too kind. A hardhead, I guess. Something like that. Did hardhead much? Argumentative much? Don't listen to people who don't know what they're talking about, Andrew. Opinions, you can get an opinion, you can get any opinion you want. People will express opinions in whatever direction you want to express them in. I mean, really, they will. They'll say one thing one day, another thing the next day. You know, I do that occasionally. When I do, when I'm caught at it, it's because I'm talking about two different things, typically. Anyway, how to get off of this? We're talking about food. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about food. Would you use mud from a pond in an aquarium, says Owen. Now, what do we know about Owen? Class, what do we know about Owen? Owen does not watch very many videos. He would know that we love mud from ponds, but we don't just throw it in the tank. This is the other thing that's interesting. People come along and they do the weirdest things. They'll have a perfectly established tank. And they say, oh, Father Fish says you can put dirt in it. So they go out, they dig up a shovel of dirt, or maybe cow poo. That's one of my favorites. He said you can put cow poo in it. So they dig up a pile of cow poo, walk in the house, throw it in the tank. Father Fish said so. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. And then you get all wrathy about the fact that their tank stinks. Well, it takes a modicum. You know how much a modicum is? It's about that much. A little less than an inch is a modicum. A modicum of intelligence. You have to have a modicum. Most 3-year-olds have a modicum of intelligence. So it's on that level. You have to be able to function at least as a 3-year-old. That's pretty insulting, isn't it? 5, maybe 6. Anyway, yeah, you can do it, but you got to do it the right way. And how do you learn how to do it the right way? Watch the videos. There are lots of them. How many videos does it take? Here's a good one. How many videos does it take to learn how to do a tank the way we're describing? Actually, it only takes one, but it's got to be the right one. And what are the chances are you going to watch 20 videos and hit one that'll tell you? Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been accused of saying the same thing over and over and over and over. And then I run into people who haven't heard it. So, I don't know. That's why we did Discord. That's why we have Discord. So if you really don't know, you can get on Discord, you can ask a question and expect to get a decent answer. Don't always. And we have people jumping in there who are convinced they know how to build nature systems because somebody gave them a fish tank once. We try to set them straight and try to chill their bones and get them seated and quiet and paying attention. Sometimes it takes a bit of effort. Then we got the other people who come in and they look good, smell good, feel good, say all the right things, sound wonderful, and then a month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, they will drop a bomb. Had one recently. The bomb was you got to take out as much as you put in the tank. Well, I've never said that. I've never done that. In fact, what I've said and done is quite the opposite of that. So it created a real problem. Because this is somebody we lent credibility to. And here he is coming up with this comment. Now, to be fair, that's the way he runs his tanks. And that's fine. That's his system. That's his tanks. That's not what we're doing. In point of fact, it's not even close to what we're doing because we're trying to go in the very opposite direction. We're not trying to starve. I'm going to segue. You watch it. We're not trying to starve our tanks. We're trying to satiate our tanks. That means sort of like satisfy only a little more than that. And here's the reason why. Ta-da! We're there. Hey, Joe Black. Our goal is to increase the diversity, to maximize, not just increase, to maximize the diversity and maximize the nutritional component that's needed in order to support that diversity. Do you get that? That's the lesson, students. The lesson is we want maximum diversity and maximum nutrition. Now, how do you do that? I'll tell you how you don't do it. You don't do it by dumping a can of food in the tank. You don't do it by overfeeding your fish, because your goal is to feed every animal and plant that is in that cycle. And there are literally thousands, tens of thousands of individual living creatures in that life cycle, in that maximized diversity system. So, back to the question. How do you do that? How do you provide food for that wide range of critters? Well, we did a lot of research on this. By we, I mean me and a couple of other people who are on Discord who are researchers, bona fide researchers, did a lot of research on this. We discovered a number of really interesting things. We discovered research that was done on the Orinoco. That's in Peru. Is that in Peru or Brazil? I think it's in Peru. The Orinoco might be in Brazil. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm not going to bother. Somebody else look it up and set me straight. On the Orinoco, they studied the impact of leaves, that's the leaves from trees, on the food cycle in a given range, a given space on that river. They discovered that the leaves of trees were and are the primary food source for the entire ecosystem. Whoa! Whoa! The entire ecosystem, they are the primary food source. What does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that peacock bass eat leaves. Doesn't mean that. It doesn't even mean that leaves feed the prey of peacock bass. Doesn't mean that either. What does it mean? It means that the microculture, which includes all of the microfauna, the macrofauna, the microflora and the macroflora, that's plants and animals, all of those, the bacteria, of which there are thousands of species, the arachnia, which I don't know what that is, but it's a bigger class of stuff than bacteria and sort of like it, the fungus, of which there are hundreds to thousands of different species. All of these feed on, in one way or another, the leaves of trees. All of them. In the process, they break it down to the point where it becomes nutritionally available to the plants. So the plants then take it up. And what happens to the plants? Some of them get eaten by fish, don't you know? And some of those fish eating the plants get eaten by other fish, don't you know? So there you have just a very simple way to explain the cycle. You have to feed every single animal in the cycle, and there are millions. It's not just a matter of feeding the fish. Okay, we've gotten thus far. So, let's do this. Let's define a biological system where we can expect this to be able to happen. First of all, we're dealing with aquariums. So that's pretty small compared to a river or a pond or a lake. It's pretty small. So that means to do this system, we've got to have pretty small critters in the tank. Now, the microscopic stuff is not a problem. That's already tiny. Yeah, we don't need to look for anything smaller than that. That part of it is perfect and fine and works totally well. The question is, what do we do about invertebrates, macroinvertebrates, and fish? Snails, shrimp, fish, and plants. What do we do about those? Well, obviously, if we're going to put a fish in that tank that depends on being able to eat other fish, then we better have a righteous population of other fish available for it. Now, we can put them in, but by doing that, we're breaking into the cycle at a given point, rather than allowing that cycle to be a cycle. We're short-circuiting it by providing the food for the big fish, putting them in there all the time. That's the only way they can get them. That's not part of the cycle, and they're not part of the cycle. They're living on top of the cycle, or instead of the cycle. Except they're pooping and peeing, and they're messing around, and they're doing other stuff in there, which is affecting the cycle. So, we can't do big fish that require special food that cannot be provided by the cycle. Is that obvious or what? Okay, this is not bad news. And I'll tell you why. Because a couple of the things that the cycle produces in pretty good quantity are fairy shrimp, Daphnia. What's the other shrimp called? Empty brain right here. Come on. You can find it. I know. What am I thinking about? Shrimp. Fairy shrimp. Whatever. Macrofauna. Worms that are big enough that an angelfish can eat 2 or 3 or 4 a day and have adequate nutrition. And we can raise that level in an average 20-gallon tank. So you can have fish as big as angelfish in that tank that will be able to be part of the cycle, part of the balance, part of the system. Obviously, this works best and easiest and most effectively with smaller fish. Fish that are 2 inches or smaller. A 2-inch fish is not going to have any trouble surviving on macrofauna, algae, like mollies. That's a 2 to 3 inch fish. They have no trouble surviving on what the tank is creating and providing. Okay, here's the lesson now. This is the important part of this whole thing. The tank functions in such a way as to provide nutrients for every single animal and plant that's living in it. Nobody gets left out. Nobody gets left out. Now, clearly, if you have 5,000 piranhas, it ain't going to work. So you got to be reasonable about the number of fish that are in there. But you can have schools of little fish. You can have schools of cardinals, schools of tetras, dozens and dozens of shrimp, even more, hundreds of shrimp. You can have an awful lot of stuff in there, provided you have a lot of plants, and provided you're seeding it with a wide diversity of microfauna as well as macrofauna, and the nutrition they require in the form of leaves, bark, other waste material that comes off the trees or other plants. If the leaf of a plant in the tank dies, what do? Here's the problem. The fellow I was talking about earlier said you have to take it out. But if you do, you're denying it as food for a whole rank of animals that are depending on it being there. So here's what happens. The more of this food you put in a way that gets assimilated naturally. That's important. You're not dumping a can of food in. You're putting food in a way that allows it to be taken up and used naturally and put through a cycle. The more of that you're able to do, the stronger and more vibrant and richer and healthier that cycle gets. It maximizes resources. That's the nature of the nature system. Nature is not an impoverished system. It's not based on that. It's been around for millions, hundreds of millions of years. It is rich in diversity, rich in nutrients, rich in biological activity. So can your aquarium be just that. That's how you feed your fish, by feeding everything in the tank. And your fish will thrive on what is being fed, what is being created. It all becomes a cycle of life. The fish eat something smaller, which eats something smaller, which eats something smaller, down to the molecular level. I mean, it's literally true. It's a balance. And you can maintain that balance simply by providing a level of nutrition that can be absorbed and assimilated by a wide range of fauna, microfauna and microflora. Primarily microfauna, but also macrofauna, shrimp, snails, and the like. Scuds. It's a word I was looking for. Okay, we're going to go back and look at the Whoozy Woods here now. Do I have voice channels on my Discord? Voice and video. Yes, indeed, Justin. Voice channels and video channels on the Discord. Yes, Joe Black. Feed your fish by allowing your tank to make food for the fish. That's it in a nutshell. That's exactly right. Joe Black nailed it. Absolutely. What causes ammonia spikes during the day? When I test in the morning, it's fine. During evening, it's 0.25 community tank fed 3 times a day. I would say feeding 3 times a day is creating ammonia because you're putting more nutrient in there than the system is able to handle, which means you're putting more of the wrong kind of nutrient in the form of dead stuff. And I don't mean dead stuff like leaves. I mean dead stuff like the kind of stuff that rots fast, like fish food. Fish food is material that disintegrates and rots and fouls within a matter of minutes to hours. It is probably, on balance, much of it, not all of it, I won't say all of it, but much of it is the worst thing you can possibly put in a fish tank because it makes things rotten. It fouls the system. That's why we have these ammonia and nitrate spikes, because we're putting such a volume of rotting material in the tank that the tank is not able to assimilate it quickly enough to keep from getting out of balance. So, you're feeding 3 times a day? Try feeding 5 or 6 and you'll see that 0.25 will go up to 0.5. You can probably get it up to you can probably get it up to 10 if you keep putting food in there. You're putting the wrong kind of food in. Try live food. Live food doesn't do that. Doesn't create that kind of problem. Justin, never having anemone in my nano salt tank again. And I am with you, Justin. Could not agree more. Do not like anemones in salt tanks. They kill everything. There are some that are not bad. The little tiny ones with the little tiny short tentacles. But by and large, anemones, there are coral that are nicer than anemones and every bit easier to keep. In point of fact, they're easier to keep. It's easier to keep coral than anemones. Anemones can be difficult to keep, and they are nasty. S. Stone says, "You are now answering my question. Bravo." Good. Andy Underwood. That's a lot of food. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is indeed. Let's see. Justin Nero, food. My Ludwigia are reaching for the stars. Do you know why that is, Erie? Ludwigia is a, oh, excuse me. Ludwigia is a bog plant. It's a plant that lives, flowers, blooms, goes to seed out of the water, not in the water. They get their start in the water. They typically live in bogs that are very wet. They like very wet conditions, like muddy conditions, but they grow very fast to get up out of the water. Here's what happens if you had Ludwigia in your tank. It'll grow up to the surface, it'll pop the surface and just explode. And then every single leaf on the stem in the water will drop off. Why is that? Because the plant is expending more energy on those leaves in the water than it is on the leaves above the water to get the nutrients that it needs. So once it doesn't need them anymore, it gets rid of them. What's the fix for this? Keep it trim. You know, like I keep saying, I don't like to trim plants. Well, that's an exception. See, I lie. I don't like to trim plants, but now I'm trimming plants, right? Get that? Ludwigia, once it gets up above the water, unless you want to do that, and it is very nice. I mean, it'll flower up there. It's really pretty. But if you don't want that, if you're concerned about what's going on in the tank, then you need to trim them. Plant the trim back down in the tank. Increase the volume of plants. And it'll keep going. In fact, it'll spread then, because it'll send off a couple of shoots, or even send off shoots from the nodes. Where are we? No burritos to go in my beer tonight. Oh well. Justin Nero. Of course, depends on the tank stock, what fish and everything else in the tank. Well, that's exactly right, Justin. Certainly does. But you're in control of that. That's something you can control. It's what goes in the tank. Brute. Need to get up early and it's way too late. Nice to have you with us, Brute. Delighted to have you here. Guppy Girl. Live worms are so good since they last in the tank for 4 hours before they start dying. Yeah, and if you'll do, she's talking about earthworms, like red wigglers. Black worms or detritus worms will create colonies in the tank. And they're absolutely wonderful because they provide an ongoing source. See, that's the issue. That's the balance. When you're able to create communities of animals living in the tank, plants and animals, but talking animals here, communities of macrofauna and microfauna that are thriving in the tank, providing nutrients. It's like a herd of bison and wolves. The wolves only get the weak bison. The fish only eat the worms that are too slow to dart back out of the way. So you maintain a healthy population of worms while you've got fish who are feeding on them, depending on them. And it works its way throughout the cycle. Everything depending on everything else in order to be able to thrive. And you see, that's the key to make this work. Everything has to thrive, which means you need to maximize the nutrients that are in the system in order for that to be possible. If you are impoverishing whole communities of animals, they're not going to thrive. Is this picture developing? a little better for you? It's the nature of nature. The nature of nature, as a friend of mine used to say years ago, is to naturate, to do the nature thing. And the way nature does that is it maximizes. It grows and thrives and maximizes. And in the process, certain things pass away and other things take hold. I mean, there is a hierarchy that develops. But by and large, what's happening is there's a vast web of animal and plant life that is thriving. Every component of it is thriving. And it's all depending on and building on. It's depending on stuff and passing it on, building on others. So it's taking and it's giving. It's receiving and it's taking and it's giving. Receiving and it's blessing. It's the nature of nature to do this. How do you make it happen? You really don't. You provide for it to happen. You allow it to happen by providing the resources that make it possible for it to happen. Oh, excuse me. How we doing time-wise? We're at 7 o'clock. Been here an hour. I need something. I got a frog. This is old tea from last night. Green tea, I want you to know. No, it's chamomile, actually. And I'm at the end of it. Cold chamomile tea. David Bruno, you're changing everything we learned. You're an original fish keeper. Can you say hi to Max? I'm Max. You go, Max. Daniel. Nice to see you, Daniel Groff. Rock flowers. Yeah, rock flowers are not bad. They don't kill anything. What is this? Justin Nero. What spawned in his tank and crashed it? Probably the anemone. Can't tell. Rock flowers. Huh. Had 2 of them. Dooby-dooby-doo. Pelham's Aquatics. Biodiversity is the spice of life. It ain't just the spice either, Pelham. It is the foundation of life. Without biodiversity, there is no life. Hoping I'll start to see more macrofauna, but that's plants. You can put them in there. Locatia. Those you have control over. Started adding silt and leaves out of the creek. Very good. Papa Fish for president. I don't want to be president. I don't want to. Too much work. I don't want to. TK says, I thought worms in your tank are bad. Only if they're dead and rotten. There ain't nothing else bad about them that I'm aware of. Never heard that one. Who would say that? Who would say worms are bad in your tank? Who would say that? Somebody is so convinced that Tetra is the gold source of fish food, and nothing else ought to ever be fed to fish than Tetra. That's who would say that. And you know they exist. Among 3, 4, and 5-year-olds they exist. And older they exist. Ghost Raw. Detritus worms are good, but some others, like planaria, eat fry and baby shrimps. Out of the hundreds of species of planaria, there are only 2 that are not vegetarian. Most planaria, first of all, what they eat is very tiny. Secondly, most planaria are actually food for fish. They eat them. It's like, what's the other one? The little tiny anemone. Boy, when I want my brain, it goes on vacation. Oh well. Benthic succession. Benthic succession. Sounds right. Sounds right. Try to facilitate nature in my tanks, not control. That's exactly right, Octavius. You really can't control it. I mean, the minute you try to control it, you're going to destroy it. And that's really what so much of fish keeping is taught to be, is to control. We have to control algae. Control algae. We have to control the water. Control. We have to control plants. Control the subject. Control. You know what all this control is based on? I'm going to tell you, and you ain't going to like it. I mean, some of you love it, but some of you ain't going to like it. It's based on, dare I say it, it's Easter Sunday, I will. It's based on godlessness. It's true. It's based on the false belief that everything is here by accident, by madness, by insanity, by pure chance. Anybody who believes that is going to try to control as much as they can because they are scared witless. It's true, isn't it? If you understand that creation requires a creator, and any good scientist will acknowledge that. In point of fact, does acknowledge that. Then you can have a certain amount of peace and the knowledge that it ain't all weird. It ain't all by accident. It ain't all gone to hell in a handbasket. It's here and it's working and it's fine if we can learn to leave it alone and love it. Mainly love it. Cherish it. Use it. Be part of it. I don't need to go further than that, do I? Not right now. Hello from Spain with my goldfish and my new Danios. Hello, Spain. I put dead all sorts of insects. Dead is good. Dead insects are good. Here's the thing. We're talking about big fish. You can do big fish in an outdoor pond and never have to feed them. Why is that? Because there's so many things that get into that pond. Insects are the most obvious one. The worms crawl into it, bugs crawl into it, beetles fly into it. All sorts of things get into that pond. And it's enough to provide food for the larger animals in the pond. So yeah, you can keep 8, 10, 12-inch fish. You got to keep it in a larger container, and it's got to be accessible to the environment. So you do them outdoors. That might mean you have to bring them in the winter. There are ways to avoid that, but generally you might have to bring them in the winter. And if you do, you put them in the basement in the dark, and by and large leave them alone because they're not going to need much for 3 or 4 months. Then you can put them back outside again. Do I have any special advice for paradise fish, such as plants they might like? I'll be writing down your response. Thank you. Oh dear, hidden wing. Here's what I've learned about hidden wings. Hidden wings knows what is beautiful. I don't think, truly, there is a more spectacularly beautiful freshwater fish than a full-grown male paradise. They are glorious. Having said that, they are also the meanest bugger you're ever going to put in a fish tank. They will kill everything, including each other. A big, dominant male paradise is a lion. A rapacious lion. A wild, murderous lion. Stunningly beautiful fish. Write that down, hidden wings. Write that down. Plants they might like. They like anything. They like to beat it up. Now, they may not do that until they get to a certain level of maturity, let's call it. But once they reach that, and it's the males that do this, not the females so much. Although they can be little themselves. The males are the worst of it. They are slaughter factories. I had a guy once insisted on bringing me paradise fish by the hundreds. You can't keep them together. Once they reach about 3 inches, you can't get. They got to be in separate. They're like bettas. You got to. And I didn't want to handle it. And I finally lost the friendship over it. It is very unfortunate because this guy was also one of the leading experts in Florida on tortoises. And I love tortoises. What are you going to do? Paradise fish. Ghost of Rock wants to know how old I am. How old do you think I am, Ghost? Do I have a video on Oscars? No, I don't. I have a video with some Oscars in the video, but not about Oscars. I love chamomile. Great for anxiety and sleep. Yeah, it is nice, isn't it? I did get sleep last night. GW, what is this? Erie saying GW corporals are beautiful and full of beans. David Bruno says, thank you. And now I've lost track. Totally. Erie says, paradise should be called hellfish. Yeah, I'm with you. Justin and Naomi, Aptasia and Hydra. Those are the two. Very good. Thank you. Aptasia and Hydra. Couldn't think of either one of them. Cosmin TWS. What about catappa leaves? Catappa leaves are fine. There are other native leaves that are every bit as good. Catappa leaves tend to take a very long time to break down. There are other leaves like maple leaves and ash leaves that break down much more quickly. The research we're about ready to publish, it'll be another month or so, will explain all of this about leaves, what kinds to use, and it's put together so you can collect leaves in your local environment wherever you are and be able to use them. It'll give you the specific species that you can collect and use and how long it takes to break down. Some take longer than others, so you want a mix of leaves, not just one type. Celestial pearls are fantabulous, got to agree. They absolutely are. Beautiful, beautiful fish. Goldfish made a full recovery in my resurrection tank. Oh, right. J-Dog called me the other day. And his goldfish, fancy goldfish, were getting beaten up, I think, by crayfish. I don't know by what. By whatever. So I suggested he take him out and put him in another tank. He had a resurrection tank, and he put him in there, and they're fine now. That's wonderful. Delighted to hear it. Aaron, if the mud you get from the water is mostly clay, would you use as is or add anything? What I like to do is liquefy it and mix it in with potting soil, peat moss, any of that kind of material to lighten it up. It's loaded with nutrients. That's what it is. It's pure nutrient. So it's very good in a tank, but it's very dense and roots can't get into it easily. They kind of grow around the surface of it. So if you will wet it, turn it into slip. Any of you potters out there will know about that. You turn it into slip, liquefy it, and mix it in with soil, and then you got something really worthwhile. Is a dirt substrate required for a low maintenance, or can it achieve the same effect with aqua soil like fluvial stratum? Yes, you can. You have to cap it with sand. If you're using fluvial stratum or any of the other commercial soils, treat them like dirt and cap them with sand, 2 inches of sand. That will allow them to become a soil base. So yes, you can use it. It works. It'll take a little longer because it doesn't have all the nutrients in it that the material that we recommend does, but it'll get there. It may take a few months, but it'll get there. Just be patient and use it that way. Cap it with sand. That's the critical part. How is it to feeding fish with maggots? The flies that are feeding on rotten meat. It's the same issue. Okay, think of it this way. If the only food you're putting in the tank is whatever, any one thing, can be live, we'll call it maggots. And you put in there only what they eat. You're not leaving it on the bottom to dry, rot, and foul. So you're being reasonable about it. But that's all you're feeding all the time. What happens? The fish poop it out. They urinate, create ammonia, they poop it out, create waste. And there are microfauna that consume that pick it up and use it. But at that point you've got a very narrow nutrition tube that needs to spread out. Now it'll get spread out. It's going to take a while. And in the process, it may create excess populations that are the first to get to it. if you catch my drift. That can throw the system out of balance if they then begin devouring based on their increased numbers of smaller food items that are not populating at the same rate. So the trick is to get a diversity of nutrition so that everything is in balance and harmony. It's never going to be absolute, but you can get really, really close by providing the right kind of nutrient. I'm not saying never feed, what is it? Maggots. They're fabulous fish food. Just don't feed them all the time, and only that. You know, feed them, if you put them on a schedule, feed them once a week or so. Don't load it up. You don't want to be introducing foods that are going to short circuit the cycle. Now, initially, you have to do that. There's no real choice in the matter, which is why we want to put leaves in there, because that's the broadest, provides the broadest diversity of nutrients, and is less susceptible to creating an environment where one species is outcompeting other species for resources, namely those critters that are smaller. So think balance, and think doing this in a way that's thoughtful and patient. Don't try to do it all at once. Don't just dump a bunch of stuff in there and expect that it's going to be fine. It probably won't. You need to go slow, steady, dependable, build it gradually, and let it balance itself out. Don't try to do that for the tank. Let it do it for itself. Nature knows how to be nature. Better than you do. Better than I do. Better than all of us put together do. Chilirasboras, nice little fish. Thank you. Say no to war. God bless you too. Erie, hallelujah. Just been my resurrection jar and it got very stinky. And sandhoppers died as well. I think it's been a mix from the sea and rain pond. That could be. You could have fouled it out. You know, they don't always work. What my recommendation is, if your resurrection jar gets stinky, just put it outside for a while. Let it get over itself. That'll work its way out, and it'll resolve. Whatever it is that's causing the foulness will get dealt with, and it'll balance. And that's the whole idea. You want this to balance. You want to see it happening. Take that rotten jar and put it where you don't have to smell it, and leave it alone. And come back to it in a week. You'll be amazed. The water will be clear and it won't have any odor. It'll be fine and you'll see things swimming around in it. It doesn't take long, but don't give up on it. Just give it a chance. A human fault. There are plenty of those to go around. Everything is perfect. Yeah, it is. Dragonfly larvae. Nasty little buggers, aren't they? Nasty little buggers. A bigger fish will eat them. And the little ones get eaten by smaller fish. So, you know, if you have eggs from dragonfly larvae hatching into your tank and you got fish in there, chances are they're going to be eaten up. You should not have a problem. If you bring in a big one inadvertently, most of them never catch a fish anyway, but you want to pop its head off and let them eat it. Matthew Alton, first time I've managed to get on the live stream. Well, hello. Loving the soil, sand, and gathering leaves and plants from local ponds. My plant growth is doing very well. Thank you for all your videos. Thank you, Matthew. Nice to hear from you and great to have you with us. My brother's dog knocked down his resurrection jar and ate the contents. Yuck. Dogs. Crazy animals. Slothers. I had my tanks high up because of that. I know, my cat used to drink out of the tank. It didn't bother me. Zebra Pleco fans, hello, hello. Never heard of... Where'd it go? Phew. I got lost. How many leaves do we use? Well, they get used up, so you want to replace them. Indian almond leaves and jackfruit leaves. Yeah, you want something that's going to break down quickly as well. I mean, the long-lasting leaves are good, but you want to mix. You want some that are going to break down in a matter of a week or two, and others that'll last maybe a month or more. They all have different nutrients, and they're providing for different kinds of animals in the tank. Had to rehome my red-tailed shark. They get a little big. You know how big a red-tailed shark is? Well, they don't get that big. It's the biggest I've ever seen. 5 inches, probably. How do you quarantine your fish when you first buy them when you have natural tanks? You can put them in a bucket with an air stone or a sponge filter. Put them in a bucket with a sponge filter and provide very tiny amounts of food every 2 or 3 days. Basically what you're trying to do is get them to a week and then use a flashlight to see that they're okay. It's better to put them in a tank. If you can't do that, put them in a bucket. And then take them out and have some kind of glass jar or something where you can look at them. Because you want to be able to observe them. And if they're showing signs of stress, disease, whatever, then you can treat them. Otherwise, if they're good after a week, you can put them in the tank. What do you think about Bucephalandra? And what's the best way of making money from the hobby? Salmonella. Best way to make money from the hobby. The best way to make money from the hobby is to think local, collect local, and sell online. Collect what doesn't cost you anything to collect and sell it online. And you will find you've got stuff where you live that people are excited about and want to buy. I found a little darter yesterday, local darter. Prettiest thing I've seen in a long time. Brown stripes on it. Beautiful fish. Stripes from one end of the fish to the other. Really, I don't know what type it is yet. I haven't coded it out. Beautiful little fish. They got a 3 to 4 inches. Got some bigger females. It's a fish I'm sure I can sell. Don't know if I want to, because I don't know if I want to get into shipping fish that size. But, you know, that's a way to do it. Bucephalandra. If you can get it going, God bless you. I have a hard time with Buse. I think because I crowded out with too many other things. It requires a well-established tank. It needs a higher order of nutrients. It's from jungle streams and jungle ponds that have very unique properties. I think it's in Borneo, as well as other, like Indonesia, Borneo. Well, Borneo is in Indonesia. It's from that chain of islands. And it just requires special conditions, which I never seem to be able to give it. What's your take on using black diamond sand plastic media? I like it a lot. I don't have any right now, but I've used it a lot, like it a lot. It's great in the tank. It's clean. It's totally inert. Amazing stuff. Really, really good stuff. And it's pretty. It's attractive. Silver Creek, empty tank, no substrate. Treated RO. Change the water as much as needed per the amount of fish in the quarantine. Talking about quarantine. So you can use meds or dose naturally, whatever. Right. The salmon of knowledge. Erie. The salmon of knowledge. Coral Angel. Have a 5-gallon. It was a betta that died due to heater failure. Now I noticed detritus worms and cyclops. How dense should it be before I start using as food for other things? Well, you want to have some left when you take it out and feed it, so it can replenish the population. You also are going to need to feed the population. So use some kind of a net or siphon to siphon some of it out. Just don't throw it all out and expect to have any left. Use it in a way that preserves the original culture. Because that's the best advice. Justin, if you can't post images, it's because you have not been given a wrench. You've not been made a snook yet. Go into coffee time, morning coffee, and ask somebody to make you a snook so you can post. I don't know why the people running that insist on not automatically making everybody a snook. I spend hours every day making people snook. And it's frustrating because we lose people just like that who get up there, they can't do anything, and they quit. Melted butter. How much leaf litter do you recommend? Go slow. Be patient about it. Don't load it up, because chances are you'll foul it out. Justin. Yeah, you need to, I can't get over there right now to fix it. Maybe I can. Hold on a minute. Where are you, Justin? What channel are you in? Let me see if I can find you. Dooby-dooby-doo. What name? Let's see. New members. Let me go to the bottom. Jigglebun. Are you Jigglebun? Jigglebun is now a snook. Jigglebun. Caesar is now a snook. See, this is what I mean. I got to go in there and I got to turn all these people into snooks. I did 50 of them today. 50. And I guarantee you 49 of them would not have hung around long enough to figure it out. They just would not have been able to do anything and they would quit. So you should be in there now. Good grief. Yeah, it looks like it's caught up. Dooby-doo. Try it again. Radiographo. I've been a gravel user. When I start using sand, but some of my tanks have to be resealed. Can I keep the gravel flora alive by keeping it submerged in another container. Yeah, you can. Absolutely. You can do that. And that's a fine thing to do. And then just cap it. If you're going to do that, you want to put a layer of dirt down before you put the gravel on it and then cap it with sand. Or you can mix the gravel in with the dirt. That works even better. J-Bar Riley. I now have lost. Mark Raymond, member for 2 months. Hey, Mark. What time is it? 7:30 and I'm lost here. Kenny. Hey, Kenny. Happy Easter to you, Kenny. Welcome, Cynthia. Cynthia's here. Goodness sakes, it's Cynthia here. I didn't see her. Is this Cynthia Norman? Different Cynthia. We have a Cynthia in the Philippines who I haven't talked to in an age. Who else? What else? Try it again, Justin. Or give me the name you signed up under. J-Bar and Daniel both are now wrenched. Who's this? Gloria. It says, at first your method was frightening. I tried your method and am now a believer. My dirted sand tank is 8 months, hardly ever have to feed. Plants are happy too, thank you. Here he says, at this rate, I'll have more tanks than Putin. There you go. The frozen foods rot. Well, sure, they're dead. You just want to feed them sparingly. Feed small amounts. Don't feed a whole big bunch, because then it's just going to sit there and foul. Yeah, the big tub storage. The storage tubs are wonderful. 20 and 40 gallon tubs. And they're cheap. Yeah, I need to find out what kind of darter it is. I will. Do I leave the lid on my res jar? No. Put a cloth over it if you're worried about stuff getting out. Guppy Girl is growing her abuse and low TDS. Yeah, that's the key. Absolutely right. Jungle Bun. Yeah, you can post now, Jiggle Bun. You're good. We got it. Not sure you're familiar with Novak and his plenum. Doesn't have a very good opinion about dirt aquariums. To me, dirt seems to fall in nature. You know what's interesting about the plenum system? Is that after a year, they become a dirted tank. They just do. It's just the natural process. So, plenum is the way to get there. And it'll get you there. You'll wind up in the same place. Guaranteed. Which is why a lot of these guys with these plenum tanks and other fancy schmancy things tear them down after a year. Because why? Why do they tear them down? Because they don't have to work on them anymore, I think. They can't control the plant growth. It gets out of hand. It takes over and runs itself. It's like, feed me. Like that. The tank takes over and runs you and doesn't allow you to run it. And I saw that on Novak once. He had a plant. Oh, God, was it nice. Magnificent. What in the world was it? Cuba. A big, big Cuba was growing like over a rock. Stunningly beautiful plant. And he lifted it up and there was soil under it. And he about lost it. Oh, look how awful. Look how terrible. Ew, I gotta get rid of it. It made me absolutely drop my jaw. This stunningly beautiful plant. Had to get rid of it because it was growing there because of the soil that had been deposited and developed in that pocket. I mean, that speaks volumes to wanting to be in absolute control. Control. It's what gives people heart attacks, I think. Scooby-Doo. Is a bigger tank easier to keep? Not necessarily. Gloria, $25. Thank you, my dear Gloria. That's very kind of you. Love you too, Gloria. Gloria. Oh, nice. Justin planted his saltwater tank. I'm going to do a saltwater as soon as it warms up a little. It got down into the 40s last day or two, and I was hoping it wouldn't. Glory be to God in the highest, says Harry. You betcha. Easter Sunday. We did a lot of singing today. It was wonderful. My tap has a GH of 0. Holy cow. Holy cow. A GH of 0. You're running RO water. It's either spring water. That's weird. It's not deep well water, I guarantee you. Spring water or RO. You need to mineralize. Excuse me. You need to mineralize. I've never mineralized water. I don't even know how to do it. I know you can do it. I keep trying to think of one thing you can put in that'll do it. But it takes more than one thing to make it work. Do I dare? I don't think I do. I don't know. Look up mineralize on Google and do it. You want to get it up to probably 50. If you can get it to 50, you'll be in good shape. And make sure you've got carbonates in there, because that's going to hold the pH stable. Global says, I was watching some videos, and the way they talk about simple things and algae, a dirt track follows nature. And I got that exact same impression about control. I know, it's strange, isn't it?
We hate nature. We hates it. We hates nature. Nature is dirty, dirty, dirty nature. Dirty. Don't like nature. No, no. Hates nature. We do. Hates it. Hates it. We like chemicals. We like them a lot. We like chemicals and things that burn and things that kill. We like those kinds of things. Yes, yes.
Like that. Think of going no filter. Joe, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. Oh, well. Crust coral and wonder shell. That works. That works. Smeagol, yes, Smeagol. Job, Smeagol. Going fishing tomorrow and putting it all back. Oh, you don't eat fish? I love to eat fish. Oh, guess what? I'm at the bottom. How did I do that? Typical aquascaping people. to not understanding nature. I've seen a crazy Japanese sitting and pointing at every stone and plant, sitting like a god and escaping. Yeah, I know. Do you know Amano? The master scaper by all standards and all measures. Amano is the master aquascaper. He would spend all day or days with a pile of rocks and a bunch of assistants placing the rocks very carefully and specifically in certain locations to create just such an effect. He did this for years. And then one day, he got a wild hare. And that ain't a bunny rabbit. And he picked up a rock and he dropped it in the tank. And he picked up another rock and he dropped it in the tank. And he did that over and over and over and over. And he got down off his ladder, walked back, looked at it, and he liked it. And he realized that it don't make no matter no how where the rock is put. Because nature put it wherever it wants it put. And it'll roll to one place and roll to another, and they're all the right place for it to be at. And so Amano, the master aquascaper, had a revelation. And he became a natural fish keeper. He really did. That's an absolute true story. It happened tragically at the end of his life. Shortly after that, he died. Terrible. Janice Lewin, thank you for the $12 super chat. You are a dear indeed. Lovely. Justin says, best thing about the aquarium hobby, it's vast, expansive, so people can do things in different ways. Some people like pretty tanks, some like chaos. And Erie says, Janice, marry me. Go for it. Matthew, love your videos, from Matt in the UK. Thank you, Matt. We're going to give you a wrench. That's the first proposal I've seen. You're going to have to accept, Janice, if you're single and available, that is. Because we just depend on things working out here, don't we? Ryan, most fish from the store are okay with the nature tank method, correct, like tetras and such. Yes, indeed, Ryan, they are. Goldfish loves rescaping things. Deed they do, Global. Deed they do. Sarfast Outdoors. What substrate do you recommend for a 200-gallon outdoor pond? I recommend 6 inches of sand. 200 gallon, that's not very big, maybe 4 inches. 4 inches will do. Just 4 inches of sand, nothing else. It's going to build a soil layer pretty quick. And then keep in mind, you're not going to go back in there and clean it out. Now, one thing you might have to do is add another inch or two every year or two, which means eventually it's going to be a marsh and no longer a pond. That is the nature of ponds in fields, you understand. A pond in a field will in time become a bog, become a marsh, become veldt, become tundra. It'll just become a field because they fill in and they fill up to the point where they get full and there's no more room for. Now, here's a curious thing. When they get full, they hold basically the same volume of water, but it's in the dirt. And it's part of the water table. So it gets dispersed out into the water table. Did we cover the dirt, the food thing? We did a lot with it. I'm glad we got to that. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I'm gonna ask my editor to try to pull that out. I need the timestamp for it to try to pull that out and make a video out of it, because that's a really important understanding of the nature of food in the tank. To do the courage to do what we knew was right. Jake and Erica, Squid Hammer Metal. I'll tell you what, guys. That is precisely what I am about. For myself and for others. To do what is right. And what is right is what is fundamentally moral and true. Not what is feel good. Not what I think this would be sweet. Not what is cool. You know, there's so much of what passes for truth today that's really very convenient. Very convenient. And not very deep, very shallow, superficial, and not at all honest. So yeah, I think what I'm getting at here is a very deep kind of honesty. And maybe I don't do it perfectly, but I feel like we're making headway. We're making headway. We need this more than we need a whole lot of things going on. We need this. We need this if we're going to save our culture, if we're going to save our society, if we're going to save our earth. We don't need to be sequestering carbon. That's food for ignoramuses. It's ignorant. It's foolish. It's stupid. It's ignorant. Carbon is not a toxin. It's a nutrient. It's a nutrient. It's like, I don't know. It's like what we're dealing with in the fish tank all the time. It's like nitrates. Oh, nitrates. Oh. Nitrates are nutrition. They are nutrients for plants. You cannot, it is not even possible to have nitrates rise to a level in the tank in which they become toxic, because plants just are starved for them. I mean, algae will take over the tank first and drive them right down. Can't be done. I defy you to kill a fish with nitrate. I defy you. Cannot be done. Same with carbon. Yeah, atmospheric carbon levels are trace. It's insane. You know, it is compressing everything down into one little pill that you can swallow and say, oh, this makes me a good person. I believe this, so I'm a good person. See, here's proof. Here's proof I'm a good person, because I believe this. See?
Everybody say, it's me. Me, good person, me. Not you. You're dumb.
Like that. Like that. You go, Daniel. I know. I know. Poor Gretna. Gretna is it? Poor child. Poor child. Yeah. 1,000 ppm nitrate. Fish living in 1,000 ppm nitrate. Doing fine. You can't do it. Time is it? 7:52. We're getting close. We've lost 15% of the Sahara. I know. The vegetation, right? I know. The more carbon there is, do you know that since the year 2000, plant life on Earth, planet Earth, has increased 25%? Isn't that awful? I mean, isn't that dreadful? Think what it would be like if in the next 25 years, 25% more plants. There wouldn't be room to breathe. Or something. Anything. Oh, we're having fun today, aren't we? Listen to the thunder, he says. Daniel, listen to the thunder. Rumble, rumble. Clutching your pearls, Papa. That's it. Matt Betcher. Let me give Matt a wrench here. Ta-da. 7:53. Go out and bring the plants down, right? Cut down those trees. Here we go. Only certain plants have expanded while others have died and gone extinct. Well, you know what? It is the nature of the nature system for that to occur. 99% of the plants and animals that ever existed are extinct. It's the nature of the system. Because other more sophisticated plants, better able to survive and thrive in that environmental niche, have taken over. Survival of the fittest, call it. Whatever. It ain't a bad thing. How would it be if everything that ever existed were still here with us? Would that be insanity or what? See, the nature system doesn't work that way. It builds. And death is a part of that building. If things didn't die, nothing could live. That's brilliant. But it's true. You be selling bettas when they grow up. You know, I wound up with 2 males, and one of them is already promised. So I've got a few females I can let go. I don't know what happened exactly. I wound up with like 10 females and 2 males. The males might have fought. I don't know. I haven't quite figured out what happened. Survival of the fattest, here he says. Right. Any thoughts on mystery snails? It's a mystery. I love mystery snails. They're a nice snail. Nothing wrong with mystery snails. Delightful little snail. Everybody should have mystery snails. Father fish, doesn't it go all the way back to eating from the tree? Gray Dog says. Yeah, one way or another it does. You know, we eat from the tree. What does that mean, eating from the tree? It means denying our place in nature. You know, denying the authority that we live under and that which we have responsibility to care for. So if we're not living under authority, And by that I don't mean the authority of tyranny. I don't mean the authority of other people. I mean the authority of God, the authority of creation, the authority of reality, such as it is. If we're not living under that authority, then we make up little authorities. And I think that's what they did with the apple and the tree. They made up their own little authority. Oh, well, we know best. It's okay. We're going to do we know. It's all right. We'll be fine. Ugh! Screwed. Royally screwed. How did they do that? The nature system. The nature system. One thing it's important to understand that the Adam and Eve story is that neither Adam nor Eve had a belly button. Neither one of them were born. They were both created. So they are alpha man and alpha woman, if you will. Not duplicatable anywhere. Not something we can point to in our direct ancestry. I mean, we can point back to the beginning, but the beginning is not who we are as humans. It's a little hard to get hold of, I know. And we'll just let that one lay fallow for another year or two. We'll get back to that. Justin. Yeah. We have loss of certain natural biodiversity, but then other biodiversity fills in. And we have more higher order plants and animals today than ever existed before. Because they've been able to increase in complexity, in diversity, and in their ability to really manage their place in the ecosystem. I believe that. I believe that the plants and animals that exist today could not have existed 10 million years ago, except those that did, like, I don't know, worms, like crocodiles. But by and large, the mammals and the plants could not have existed way back when, because there wasn't the infrastructure, biological infrastructure, to be able to support them. Dooby-doo, we're going to be done here in about 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to be on Saturday going to Super Cichlids in Dover, Delaware. Anybody who's in the area, come on by. I'll be there from about 10 o'clock on Saturday. I'll be there all day. We're going to set up a dirted tank. We're going to meet a lot of people. We're going to maybe go live. We'll do some videoing. It'll be great fun. Super Cichlid in Dover, Delaware next Saturday. Hope to see you there. God bless you all. Delighted to be with you. Help me save the beta video. Get over there and watch it 10 times. And then say how much you love it. And click the like button and search for it and follow it and like it and do all that stuff. We need to save the beta video from ignominiousness. Love you. Bye for now. Stephen, did I thank you for the $20 super chat? Thank you, Steve. I think I did. I think it was the first one.